Broadcasting live, this is KMA Talk Radio, life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. With your hosts, Honest Abe and Adam K. the Brewmeister. Listen to the show anywhere in the free world at KMATalkRadio.com.
I like to smoke them like some Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning. Well, listeners, libertarians, lovers of the leaf, everyone out there in Facebook land, welcome to another exciting edition of KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live on the Facebook. Because, well, that's what we do in the time of a pandemic. I am here. This is episode 389, and with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Honest Abe.
You do realize we've been on the Facebook for the last 4 or 5 years. Not just during the pandemic.
Yeah, but still, I mean, we're still broadcasting live on the book face. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, do your New York thing.
Okay, and live from his mother-in-law's basement, it's Paul DeGrocco.
Hi.
I honestly believe that's become the highlight of his week every week.
Yeah,
he says
much,
live.
Yeah.
He didn't say live from New York, though.
Yeah, he did.
No, I did not.
Oh, his mother's basement? Oh,
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah. I got the mother-in-law's basement. By the way, Paul, you found your hat. Where was your hat?
I found it, yeah. We have different piles of clothes for different places we're staying. So this weekend we're going up to my father-in-law's cabin, upstate New York, and it was in that pile of things to bring with me.
Was that the dilemma that delayed the start of the show this morning?
No, the late start of the show is a personal matter that I'd like to not talk about.
Did Buzz Lightyear lose a wing?
No, he was good this morning, actually. Yeah, my son has a full Buzz Lightyear costume that he wore all day. I thought he was going to insist on sleeping in it, but
Paul was so proud he texted me at 11:30 last night.
What?
The kid looked cute. Come on.
He texted me the kid's picture at 11:30 last night. He couldn't wait to start off.
I'm glad you didn't text me that picture, because I would not have been interested.
Nobody
pictures of
texts you with any kind of loving or feeling moments. Don't worry, pal.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It won't happen from Paul.
I'm very happy about that, too, by the way.
But you know what's funny? Adam sends me pictures of his dog a lot. Not since I've been up here,
You send me pictures of your babies all the time.
I don't think I really have.
That kind of sounds like payback, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Does that just not sound like payback? You send me pictures of your baby. Here, take a picture of my dog.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes no sense.
I mean, it's okay. I don't mind it. It's just it doesn't seem like something you would do.
Take that, Paul DeGrocco. Dog pictures.
Yes, like, and you send me pictures of your son on Easter, just walking around picking Easter eggs. It's like, what? Why would I want to see that?
All right, touche. Wow, this got strange. Actually, I don't even know.
It's been strange.
Wow.
Welcome to the pandemic.
Show. We'll get going.
So, Paul, how long do you think you're going to stay in New York, or have you settled on an exit date yet?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to probably make our trek up sometime in the next 2 weeks. We're going to make the drive and break it up like we did last time. So do 6 or 7 hours one night, stop, stay, 6 or 7 hours the next night, stop, stay, and then finish off the trip most likely.
What are you coming back for?
Our house that I paid a mortgage on for the last 2 months.
I could rent it out.
My home. I mean, I don't know. That's where we live now. That's our home now.
Mm.
I mean, I guess you're right. We don't have to be back there. Stephanie's not working. I'm not working, except, I'm working remote. But, yeah, I mean, aside from, buying a house up here would be double the cost of what my house is if I want something similar. So I'm not ready to make that investment.
Mm.
And I'm not
So
ready. I'm not ready to start paying income tax again.
Could you go back to winter?
I could go back to winter if I could afford to have somebody like shovel and plow.
Really?
What I didn't
Is
like
shovel
about
and plow the biggest problem of winter?
Paul,
for me
you
it
already
is.
paid someone to do your lawn. How is shoveling and plowing not the same thing?
I don't know. I never did it here, so I always did it myself. So that's my number one thing. I hate cleaning off my car. I didn't have a garage. Well, I had a garage, but I couldn't keep my car in there. So if I could garage the cars and know that maybe have a heated driveway, know that my driveway would never need to be done by me. I guess I could do it. I don't know. It's weird
Okay,
because I
didn't
haven't
ask
really done
if you
it.
could do it. Would you want to do it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
There's a number of
I-
factors why I wouldn't want to move
I
back.
just don't think I could do winters anymore.
Well,
I
for
just
you, it's been a
don't.
long time, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way I could tolerate a winter season.
Adam?
I'd be like, what the F is this? I see myself
Listen,
in 2 weeks. Who lives in this shit? Oh, great. We got an alarm.
Adam, what about you?
well, I know that every time I go off to try and go home during the winter months, the times I have, the moment I get off the plane and I'm not currently wearing a jacket, I go, what the hell have I got myself into?
Are you a guy that wears doesn't wear a jacket even if it's freezing?
Oh, no. I do. No, I've got a couple of very nice jackets that I like to wear when I'm up in the state of Michigan during the winter months. But I don't like the heavy jackets. So
Okay.
I try to get like on some regular just jackets. Is what I
All
try
right.
to go.
Okay. Good
Yeah,
to know.
no, I've got a little leather jacket that's somewhere in the closet that I like to enjoy, and yeah.
So do you realize that the storm that kind of skipped over you guys,
I was gonna bring this up. Yeah.
it didn't do so well here. So we are, a lot of people here are out of power still.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't have, and now the storm kind of went west of us, and it went quickly, but I guess the northeast side of the storm still hit Long Island and blew out a lot of power lines. So and it really wasn't, I mean, it was windy, but it wasn't raining at all. So a lot of people are without power. I think they said yesterday 100,000 people are still without power.
I heard
And
Connecticut.
all right. So so a lot of people are still without power, and I know the majority of people don't have internet. We almost didn't have a show because I didn't have internet for a while, but we have it back here. My parents still don't have it. And it sounds ludicrous to say like, "Oh my God, we can't live without internet and cable," but where my parents live, cell phone service is not good. So they're I guess when the closer to the water you are, the worse the cell reception gets, especially for AT&T, because nobody wants towers near their houses. So the more expensive the real estate gets, the less cell service you have. So I mean, AT&T, you have to go outside, and there's only like certain corners of their yard where you can actually use it. So when they had power and my mother-in-law didn't, they still didn't have cable. So I had to like sit in the corner of their yard up against the fence and set up a little makeshift office and use my cell phone as a hotspot. So it's a very strange and slow response by the utility companies and cable companies here, which is a change from Florida because, you know, when we have issues in Florida, it seems like the power if it goes out comes back right away, especially in our area.
Well, they're definitely more prepared for storms, and they prepare accordingly because they anticipate it. But I think that's probably why the reason you're experiencing that now is in New York, they don't anticipate storms the way we do in Florida.
Right. It's possible. Abe, you have to unmute your microphone too, because you didn't mute your microphone. You just turned off your camera.
Sorry, we had somebody triple alarm trying to open up.
We heard you, but I ended up
Police
being
call.
able to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was the cops?
Well, no, if you don't answer, they send the cops.
Right.
So I had to make sure I told them it was a false alarm.
Anyway, we were talking about how so many people here are still without power from
Dude.
what was not really a storm. I mean, it was a storm, but there was hardly any rain even on the whole island, and just lots of wind. So
Yeah, it is a little surprising.
What's really surprising is how slow they're taking to fix it. I don't know if any of our listeners are on.
Because it's not like you guys haven't had hurricanes there before,
I mean, it's a regular thing here. You usually get at least one a season. I mean, especially after Sandy, you'd think they'd pick up their preparedness, but
absolutely.
It was 12 years ago. They don't
decimated. Yeah.
They forget. Anyway, so that's what's going on here. Real fun. And speaking of almost not having a show, we almost didn't have our guest because he didn't. What was the deal, Abe?
I think he's still without power.
Oh, really?
He's on a generator. Yeah, let's get him on and find out.
Yeah, why don't we bring him on, Adam?
All right, we're going to bring on our very special guest this week. Currently, the vice president of Nat Sherman Cigars, Mr. Michael Herklots. Mike, welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
I have power.
Oh,
you still got power.
It came on last night.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Oh man, what a mess.
Wow.
Where are you, Mike? Where are you? Connecticut?
New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. Okay. Well, so you guys are suffering from the same issues they are here on Long Island, where it seems like a super delayed response.
I don't think people realized that it was actually going to hit us.
Right.
I mean, if I think back to the past storms, we were super prepared. We had batteries and a tub full of water, and we're ready for whatever's coming our way. And then generally one tree would fall, and we're like, okay, we overreacted. This one, I mean, obviously, it hit on Tuesday, which was kind of a busy day for me. So I was in the office, and I'm looking out the window as I'm trying to respond to the immediate crisis of the day. And all of a sudden, I call my wife. I'm like, we're actually going to get a hurricane in about 3 hours. She's like, is it really coming? I was like, yeah. I start tearing down the chairs and take down the umbrella, and I'll be home, and I'll be home as fast as I can. And man, it crushed us. It looks like tornadoes went down every block. Trees knocked over. It really hit us.
You guys got it worse than we did here on the island, though, as well. I mean, the storm kind of went right over you, right?
I didn't see what that final sort of track is. I believe we were on the right side of what would have been the eye.
Okay.
But, it was just, we got mega rain, then that slowed, and then these wind gusts would just come, and every time they'd swirl through, you'd hear another thud, walk outside, see another tree. It was wild. But we made it. Fun memories. A couple basement slumber parties. Why not?
I mean, it could be worse. We could be in the middle of a pandemic. Oh,
wait.
Or your company could be closing.
Wait.
Any number of things could be going wrong. But
hold on, rip shot.
When you get to have them all at once, that really develops a certain character that you can carry on.
Have you had more interesting weeks in your life? I have to ask.
I described it the other day to my dad. I said, at this point in my life, dealing with chaos and shitstorms, I feel like I can do that pretty well. Dealing with tropical storms, pretty experienced doing that. Both of them within the same 4-hour window.
Right.
A little bit more of a lift. But we got through it. Everyone's safe and healthy. And on we go.
2020 is going to be a pretty much landmark year, huh?
Man, I'm hoping that whatever else is in store comes in 2020, so we can just put it to bed.
Right.
Do you just want to put the dumpster fire out now?
No, I like fires.
Okay.
They keep me warm. Can make marshmallows. I don't want to put it out yet.
Keeps things interesting.
No, I mean, obviously the big news this week is the closing of Nat Sherman after 90 years in the industry. Now, I mean, this didn't come as a surprise to you. You know what I mean? You kind of had discussions prior, and you knew the possibilities, things that may have happened. Just curious, have you had a chance to talk to anybody from the Sherman family?
Yeah, actually, I spoke to Bill yesterday, the day before,
Bill's the son of Joel, right? You
of
started.
Joel,
Yeah,
who was
right.
the son of Nat. So Nat's grandson, the oldest of the three kids. So we spoke yesterday, or the day before. It's kind of blending together. He expressed a tremendous amount of support and appreciation for the work we did, and was obviously sad to see the outcome, because hard we worked to try and find a different outcome. But I think he's in a good place. They're all healthy and happy. They were with their dad the other day. It was just his birthday actually the other day.
Wow.
Mr. Sherman's. So I think they're living their lives and enjoying summer, and I think there was just kind of probably a sad end for them to that chapter, obviously.
Do they feel? Obviously, the cigarette brands are going to continue to go on. So do they feel at all like it's the end of an era or legacy for them, or do they just does the fact that the cigarette brands will continue and move on, bring them any kind of comfort?
I don't want to speak for them. My gut is knowing how much the store meant to them specifically.
Yeah.
And the cigar business, which is why they hired me, because it meant so much that they wanted to prop it back up and make it prominent and meaningful. I think there is a sadness, not just for them, but I think also I think they're a little sad for me, because they brought me on to do this work, and now it's different, But I don't want to speak for them, but I think there is certainly a degree of sadness.
90 years is a long time, almost a century.
It's a long time, man.
It's a long time.
It really is a long time. And if you look back over the 90 years, there's so much that the brand did for the industry that I'm not entirely sure people are aware of. But
share some things that you think the people aren't aware of.
Well, for me, what I think is probably the most impactful contribution is the idea of an in-store lounge. And if you think back when after Nat died, the store was on 55th and 5th, right across from the St. Regis Hotel, in the middle of Manhattan. It really sort of catapulted this idea that tobacco could be luxury when Nat opened the store on Fifth Avenue. After he died, when Joel Sherman took over the business, they moved to 42nd and 5th. The store was like 7,500 square feet. And part of the reason they wanted that much space was to make sure that there was plenty of seating for customers to sit and enjoy what they purchased. But if you put that in the context of time, that obviously, that doesn't seem like a big innovation today. But in 1990, you could smoke anywhere. You could buy a cigar in a cigar shop, and then you would leave the cigar shop to go smoke it. There was no need to host your customers in a store.
Right.
That was a ridiculous idea at that time. But Joel said, we want the experience of Nat Sherman to be more than just buying and smoking. We want to help control that experience. And so there was never a bar, there was never a coffee shop or anything like that. But they had enough space to put seats and a lounge. At the time, they had the lounge in their humidor that overlooked Fifth Avenue, and people still tell stories about how meaningful that was. Now, you fast forward to today, if you can't host your customer to enjoy the product they purchase, you're going to have a real hard time competing in the retail space in 2020. Although post-pandemic, obviously, that might be a different scenario.
Right.
But I really think that
knock on wood.
That real focus on customer and focus on experience that was Joel's vision in 1990, I have to believe started inspiring more and more folks to accommodate their customers within their stores. But for me, as I look back and think about it, I think that commitment of space and that commitment to the experience of the customer was really a pretty revolutionary thing at the time.
To put it in context, it's hard money, right? It's real estate footage you're paying rent on, and I can imagine people at the time. Why would anyone want to sit here and smoke a cigar, right? You know, so yeah, I mean, I can imagine that kind of thought process back then.
Yeah.
Really, really out of the box.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm. I mean, considering 1990, you could still smoke in restaurants in most places.
Yeah.
Restaurants, bars, parks, beaches,
Absolutely,
you name
everything.
it.
Oh yeah, crazy.
So, Mike, what's going to happen with the inventory and the brand? Is that, I mean, is it, because I can't just see them destroying it. I mean, is it going to get purchased, acquired, liquidated? I mean,
Well,
my theory is, of course, I'm talking right out of my rear end here, but I mean, I think after things get shut down or whatever, somebody will still be able to buy the brand. I don't, I think the brand might be still sellable and maybe acquirable. Am I off base completely?
well, are we going to go on your theories, or can we get back to the facts?
Well, we could do a little bit of both. Theories are
Yeah.
fun. Theories are more fun than the facts sometimes, But yeah,
Absolutely.
we could do
Facebook
both,
wouldn't exist
right?
if people just couldn't go on their theories instead of going on facts.
Right.
So I can tell you what the process has been, and we've discussed this. Let's rewind. In 2016, if you said the words Nat Sherman meant a lot of different things. Nat Sherman was a person. Nat Sherman was a place. Nat Sherman was a company. Nat Sherman had multiple products under the umbrella of Nat Sherman. And I say that because if you think of Nat Sherman under the umbrella of the Master Settlement Agreement, which is a critical issue as it relates to cigarettes and what you can and can't do with cigarette brands, Nat Sherman was not a cigarette brand subject to Master Settlement Agreement. However, after the acquisition of Altria's acquisition of Nat Sherman did become a cigarette brand. So that changed things for us. So there's still a lot of hypotheses on our rebrand strategy. Very easily defendable. Our rebrand strategy for the cigar business was because Nat Sherman became a cigarette. So as we grew the business, trying to grow a cigarette branded cigar was not a long-term winning strategy. The only way we could grow our cigar business for the long term was to rebrand, to get out from what would become a household cigarette brand. And that's very important. And we've talked about that on shows in the past. So now fast forward, if the question now is what is the future, it's what is the future of the people, what is the future of the product, and what's the future of the legacy. Future of our people, which to me is number one. The future of our people is great. Altria is very generous. We tried to find a more favorable outcome that would land people with the transaction. Unfortunately, we couldn't complete the transaction no matter what we did. So that leaves, how do we still maintain our obligations to this process? And number one, that's taking care of our people. And so we did that. So our people are going to be absolutely fine. They are going to be the greatest graduating class of premium cigar salespeople in the history of our industry, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm confident any of them that want to continue in this business will be scooped up in a moment's notice. Next is the product and the inventory. So we are basically doing a very dignified liquidation. We're not blowing things out. We're not bottom prices. This is incredible product. And so we obviously need to bring down our inventory levels and sell it all. We're not going to liquidate our product, but we are going to sell through it. We're committed to that. So we're offering, great incentives to our retail partners. We're offering great incentives to our retail customers in New York, and people are scooping up the product. I think, for consumers, this is a product that they have come to depend on. I mean, they've depended on us through the pandemic. They've depended on us through 9/11. They've depended on our products for years. And so you can see them coming in this week and stocking up on the products that they depend on to get them through tough moments. So that's a great thing to see. For our retailers, they depend on our products. I mean, we will eventually be a product that they're going to have to convince someone to buy something else, or they're going to have to stop selling and replace that revenue with something else. So retailers are also stocking up. We're able to offer them some favorable pricing, hopefully give them some much needed margin, particularly after lockdown and pandemics and that kind of stuff. And so what we're trying to do is still be good partners all the way to the end. And then that leaves us to what the legacy is. And, we really tried hard to sell, and there was no way to do it completely. And to hold ourselves accountable to the goals that we set out in the first place, which is honoring the people, honoring the legacy. And so, the future of the brands, they remain Altria property. If history shows us anything,
but the brand Timeless is a brand that could and would be sellable. Theoretically, I know you've given us the fact, but theoretically, there's no reason why Altria couldn't sell just the brand name, and the brand
I think that's
exists.
true. So I think the facts are that Altria could sell any brand they want if they want to.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, what are they going to sell it for, and what does the money mean to a $25 billion enterprise?
Yes, yeah.
So again, I don't see this. I think when I hear the conspiracies of we did a rebrand in order to sell off the brands. I mean, it's so absurd. It offends me that I worked so hard. I mean, that's just not the case.
Right.
The reason we did it was to remain long term without risk. It's why we did it. Where we are today was not in the cards a year ago.
Right.
We are where we are today because of a whole host of circumstances that were out of our control that forced us to make new decisions, and then the timing and the environment in which those decisions were made was a completely different world.
Right. I want to bring up a Facebook
dignity.
I want to bring up a Facebook comment because Carlito Fuente is on right now, and he left a really nice note for you that I think is worth repeating. But he said, I heard Michael was going to be on the show today, and I could not miss it. Michael is among the most knowledgeable, passionate, and loved in the world of cigars. I have the highest admiration and respect for him. Have a great show, my friends. Hugs to all. Carlito. It's pretty cool.
I talked to him last night, actually, on the phone, because I hadn't talked to him since the announcement. My first paid gig as a musician in Boston was at a Fuente cigar dinner.
No.
I was working at the Cart in the Prudential Center Mall, and we had a relationship with Paredes, and Paredes was hosting a St. Jude's Children's Hospital fundraiser at the Boston Harbor Hotel, and so Steve Willett called the guy that owned the Cart and was like, You got that kid over there at the Cart? Isn't he a drummer or musician or something? And the guy was like, yeah. And he's like, tell him he's got to come play this gig. My music fell out at the last minute. So we grabbed all our shit and we went to the Boston Harbor Hotel and set up. And I just started smoking cigars, about a year. So I was in full fanboy mode, like really. And I was 19, so I was really like fanboy, giggly, can't control myself mode. And then, like, the man, the myth, there's Carlito Fuente. Like, I could have met the president, and I would have moved the president out of the way to just look at this man walk and shake hands and everything. So I couldn't say anything to him. I was so nervous. So my group is playing. I think it was either a trio or a quartet. I can't remember what we did. We played throughout the night. At the end of the night, they handed out Opus X Perfection A's to everyone as the final cigar of the night. And so when it was done, we were packing up. I finally got up the nerve. I went over and I said, Mr. Fuente, my name is Michael. I just started working in cigars. And he just stopped me and he said, you guys sounded great. And I said, oh, thank you so much. He said, do you enjoy cigars too? And it was the first time I heard someone say enjoy, not smoke. enjoy, which I thought it really resonated with me. And I said, I do enjoy cigars a lot. And he reached down to his table. He picked up 3 Perfection A's and handed them to me. And said, here's one for you and for your 2 bandmates. And I said, thank you so much. This is incredible. I really appreciate it. And then I turned around and told my bandmates, hey, Carlito just gave me 3 Opus A's. I gave him each an extra $50, and I kept the cigars, and I still have them, all 3 of them.
Wow.
In my humidor.
Does he remember that night?
We talked about it last night. Funny.
Oh,
He
wow.
does.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool. Funny.
Always a small world.
It really is. It really is.
So, look, you don't have to talk about this. Obviously, it's a big question. It's probably one of the things that most people are talking about. I'm sure there are cigar shops out there that got boards right now, betting boards. Where will Michael Herklots land? Right? they're taking their lines, the spread on it.
Mm-hmm.
My assumption is that you'd love to continue to stay within this industry that you've kind of grew up in. Is that where the heart's at right now?
Yeah, I mean, my process, if I look back over the last 8 months, we announced the potential sale in October.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been really full throttle since that announcement. Then you add to that, obviously, the challenges of COVID and being home. And we were on together during this pandemic, if I recall.
Yep.
And checked in. And I recall even saying then, that I was busy. There was a lot of work to do. So I've been so focused on trying to see this process through that I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to contemplate the alternative should we not have executed what we thought we were going to.
Right.
So now that we are where we are, it is certainly forcing me to start putting some plans together, but I still have a lot of work to do. There's still work to wind down this business gracefully and dignified in the manner that it deserves. So, I can't give you, what my plans are because I haven't had the benefit of time to really put them together. But it's hard for me to imagine my life outside of this industry. I mean, it's been 20 years. I was 19 when I started in the business, and I think people to a large degree would consider themselves grown by 19, 20, 21, but you really grow up when you're 20 to you're 40. I mean, that's really what, in my opinion, where you grow up, because you remember all of it. I don't remember the first third of my first 20 years.
Right.
So it's hard for me to relate to all of my development over that period of time. But as an adult, you are conscious of how you are growing and what your curve is and what your experiences are for those next 20 years. And there isn't a day or a meaningful moment or someone special in my life that didn't come via the premium cigar industry. Mm-hmm. In one way or another, I can link it all back. And so it's hard for me to imagine, going to work for a marketing company or a pharmaceutical company it's hard for me to. I've spent every day of my professional career doing something I love to do. It's every day has been an evolution of the day before. And I've been able to make a living at that. And so to even contemplate the idea of somehow having to start over and do something else paralyzes me, because it's not what has driven me now to 40. Right. What's driven me to 40 is pursuing the things I love and I'm passionate about, and the rest falls into place. And so I have to believe that it will continue to fall into place.
Yeah, if you haven't had that answer where, because look, anytime you've committed a majority of your adult life to a career, you're in that situation. Like, what else am I going to do? Right? I mean, if I sell my business, what else am I going to do? Right. I mean, it's kind of what I known, for the majority of my adult life, and you never really put yourself in that situation. But then there are those times where you hear people like, I'm done. I've spent my thing. I'm burnt out. Time to find the next chapter in my life. And, you kind of know when you've gotten to that point. So it doesn't sound like you've gotten to that point. So,
I'm not done.
Yeah, good for you.
Mm-hmm. Very
I
good.
mean, you don't have to say who or when or any of that, but have you actually had offers yet?
Oh yeah,
We lost audio.
We lost audio there
He
for a
muted
second.
himself purposely. He
Oh,
did
he
it
did. How dare he?
on purpose.
Man, that was too perfect.
That was actually really good. That was actually really good.
Well done, sir. Well done.
that was great.
Look at you go.
I was waiting for when I was gonna pull that move.
That was nice.
Well, listen, it's like too premature right now. But I guarantee you. I mean, it's not going to talk about, but I guarantee you there were some feeler calls.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You get the feeler
Do
calls.
you know what though, Abe? Honestly, I mean, my phone has been blowing up for the week, but the calls, the emails, the texts, they're not feeler calls. They are just like, hey man, I'm so sorry to hear it, and great job. And
that's definitely there, but there's some feeler in some of those. I'll bet money.
Maybe the feelers come in follow up.
Yeah, I mean, look,
but I'll tell you, it's been amazing.
I texted you. I said, look, I told him I purposely gave you a day or two because I just knew that was going to be his situation. I mean, his phone was going to be blowing up in the minute. I said, I sent him some kind words. I said, look, if you want to talk, we'd love to have you on this Saturday and talk about the situation. He's like, dude, I'd love to. I don't have power. Give me till tomorrow. Let's see where we're at.
Great.
It worked out great. But yeah, I purposely gave him a couple of days. It was the first thing I said in our communication. I said, I know your phone's been blowing up, but wanted to give you a little breather room before I contacted you.
But like that message from Carlito that you just read, Paul, I mean, that is the example of what my last 4 days has been. And I think the greater population of our employees, the same thing. Mm-hmm. Overwhelmed. We did a little happy hour last night, virtually, just checking in with everyone. And they said, man, it's just incredible. The support and the people just calling, saying, we're so sorry to hear it. What can we do? I mean, to hear that really makes me feel like we've done it all right. We've done it all right from the beginning, and we're going to continue doing it till the end.
You know what sucks now that you mentioned it? You said, I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, if I had sold my business, I would have one mega party, right? Invite, the staff, even people who haven't worked for me for years, who we still get along with. I can't even imagine. You guys are going to depart, and you got to do it for Zoom. Like, you guys can't even get together to have that moment of closure. I just thought of that right now. Oh my God.
We were thinking the same thing for the store too. Like, how can we not wrap up 90 years of New York presence with a bang? And we can't.
What a travesty. What a travesty.
It really is sad.
It's tough. And it's funny because we talked about it one of the first times we had you on since I was producer, but one of the first premium cigars I had was a Nat Sherman cigar, and the CEO at the time, literally at an event that I was hosting at 11 Madison Park, he put it in my mouth and lit it for me. So as a New Yorker, it holds a lot of sentimental value for me as well. They're cigars that my grandparents smoked. Both my grandfathers smoked. Lots of different cigars, but smoked Nat Sherman, and it's an icon here. Going to work in Manhattan, passing that store almost daily. It's definitely a brand that kind of as a New Yorker that I hold close to my heart. So it's tough. It's a tough end to the legacy for sure, as just on the consumer side.
Yep. But at least we get to do it gracefully. We get to maintain some control of it. We're not, don't forget 10 years ago, Abe, I've heard you tell this story multiple times. When we wanted to prop this back up, and we reached out to you and we reached out to a group of folks and asked for feedback, it was about course correcting and then building and growing the right way. And, I couldn't be prouder of it. Abe, I hope you're as proud as I am. I mean, if you look at Nat Sherman International's brands, timeless. I mean, you were a part of creating Timeless.
Yeah.
Never mind launching it and then supporting it in market. You built it as much as I did. So when I look at it now, to see where it is after thinking back to that lunch that we had 9.5 years ago.
It was a lunch in the middle of the trade show day, which was unprecedented at the time.
Mhm.
Like, we got asked, like, who leaves the floor in the middle of a day for a lunch?
But wasn't
You
it
know?
a game changer?
But it was,
Wasn't it?
because you know what the reality of it is? You can't get nobody after 5 o'clock, right? I mean, after 5 o'clock, we're all running around doing our things, and it was really the only way to get us. I can't remember. You had what, like maybe 8, 10 people, retailers in that room, maybe a dozen.
I think the total was about 18 with the Shermans and everyone. I think it was around 18 people.
Right, yeah.
And that was in Emerald's restaurant. Actually, I just talked to Emerald yesterday, the day before, same thing. He just reached out. I saw the news. Thanks for the support. It's great.
You know, we don't realize, because I can see him going through the emotional moment right now, because it happens to me a lot. We don't realize when we work every day how many people that we either touch or interact with. Because I get blindsided by it too sometimes. Like, Emerald called. You never think of it, right? Because you're just doing business, right?
Yeah.
You're booking dinners, you're doing your thing, but you don't realize what those moments or those events were for that restaurant or Emerald's business at the time.
Right.
Or whatever. And it's in moments like these you get caught up and you get blindsided. You're not realizing all the interaction, especially over decades, right?
Yeah.
Of the effect you've had with your consumers, business, employees, other businesses. I mean, it's moments like these that are really like heart wrenching sometimes.
Especially when you're in this kind of business. You're in the business of making people happy, basically. You're bringing them something that brings them joy.
Yeah, but don't forget, it's all what I think is so crazy about our industry is that despite the fact that it brings people so much joy and we're so passionate about it, it's just so hard. I mean, God.
It's a battle. It's a constant
FDA,
battle.
taxes, state, local regulations. You can't smoke. You're not essential. Like.
You got to really love this business to go through this
Yeah.
kind of misery. I mean, you really do. I mean, look, granted,
I'm gonna rethink my answer here. Hold on.
I mean, listen. Granted, we're in Florida, so we have one less of a headache than 48 other states, but it's just still a constant battle. It's a constant battle to do your job, and it's a simple job. We're not peddling. I mean, you can open up a weed store overnight, no big deal. Nobody cares. Man, you open up a cigar shop, it's like, man, we are Satan.
The stores around you hate you.
I made a post, and this is not to take anything away from what the hurricane did up north, but the hurricane really didn't do squat here. Like, I mean, we closed all our locations, and we were all looking outside saying, why did we do this? I mean, it was really nothing down here, right?
We got more rain during the rest of the week than we did during the weekend.
So there was an article in the Palm Beach Post the next day or the day after, like 100,000 people without power and more to come. And the brunt of the storm was coming Sunday. We closed Sunday. This article is like on Tuesday, said more to come. More to come from what? I mean, I didn't even know anything went through here. So I made some kind of statement like, you know what, man, the media is just becoming literally the most despicable, like lowest end form of communication in this universe, right? And it's become like the National Enquirer is now the standard, right, of news media. And then some guy, and this is what I posted on the Palm Beach Post Facebook page, and some guy went on to tell me how I didn't know anything, and that tobacco people were the lowest form of lives in society.
Wow.
Just tobacco people in general. I forgot the words he called me. It was a little more educated verbiage, but tobacco peddler or something. But I mean, it was literally like, really? Holy cow. I mean, it's just, tobacco is just like, no, it's just such a bad thing in today's world with all this other stuff going on. It's mind blowing. Mike's right.
The idea of being so polarized in your opinion that you can't see another person's perspective in any positive light is just so disheartening today. And it exists in every single platform and every subject. I mean, I saw someone talk about return to schools. Immediate two sides. You can do it or you can't do it, and it's this side or that side. somewhere in one of these conversations, someone brought up Common Core curriculum. Boom! It went the other way. And then you're either for it or against it. And I mean, I'm like, what is going on between that, politics, tobacco? Like, there is no middle anymore for anything. And what I'll tell you, it was so great about the cigar world, in particular premium cigars, is for most folks, like in the reality of the world, not in social media, in like real places where real people once gathered and exchanged thoughts and ideas in person. Premium cigars are one of those things that, in fact, people don't view with such vitriol. Particularly, like I've worked with Emerald now for I don't know, 15 years, doing events and fundraisers, and his examples were the perfect examples. We did, at one point, we grew it to something like 2,500, maybe 5,000 people, I don't know, at the Superdome in New Orleans. It's boudin, bourbon and beer, chefs from all over, people from all over, huge fundraiser for Emerald Lagasse Foundation. We would have hundreds of people lined up to have a cigar cut and lit, the majority of which had never enjoyed a cigar in their life. And they were like, this just smells so good, and it looks so fun, and it's interesting, and I'd like to try it. Like, you know, what an amazing moment to be able to have with someone. I think that's so unique for premium cigars. That's the piece that gives me hope for the future of this industry, not the jerk off on the Broward County, Palm Beach, whatever.
You're absolutely right. Like, cigars is somewhat of a leveler. Like, I mean, I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you how many times I read somebody who I know's post on Facebook. I've made a vow. Like, I try to stay now completely off any topic that's just not, that anything is politically or, you know, any news topic. I just try to stay positive in my posts. So I'll see somebody that I know, that I'm personal friends with, or not personal friends, but acquaintances with in the cigar community, cigar world. And holy cow, like I'm flabbergasted at how polarized their view is, like so one-sided. How could you be this way? And I just don't engage. And you know what? The next time I see them, we're gonna light up a cigar together, and I'm not even gonna deal with it. You know, we won't talk about, because we're like totally polar opposites on what we think. But that's his opinion. I'm just gonna let it go. It takes a little work, man. I find myself typing a lot and then deleting.
I've made that vow.
You want to say something, and you know what? Let it go.
I made that vow a long time ago.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't engage in conversations on other people's platforms. That's number one. So I might comment, I might say congratulations or something like that. I will never get into a dialogue on someone else's platform. I just think that's rude. And then as it relates to mine, I just don't post things ever that present an opportunity for polarization. Mm-hmm. You know, if I present something that has an opinion, then it automatically extends the invitation for someone to counter what I'm saying.
It's opening,
and that's not why I share things. I share things to keep it positive and fun and light and engaging. So there is never, I mean, you can look at every post I've posted over the last 3 years. There is no invitation for engagement. It's just meant to be, you know, broad, entertaining, but without debate.
Right.
And then when there is a debate, I don't take debate.
Right.
We go on.
Right. Don't take debate.
Abe, well, that's a new development for you.
Well, you know, I was starting to say things and become things that I really wasn't proud of. That's what it was. And I would just get in these debates. I'm like, you know, this is just a waste of my time. I mean, first off, look, I mean, we've always said before, you're not really changing anybody's mind.
Never.
Right? So why am I even wasting my breath? It's only to supposedly try to make me feel better about the situation. Well, I don't need to do that. So I just stopped. I mean, it's
interesting to read when you're on the other side, because I feel the same way. As I've gotten older, when I was younger and Facebook first came out, I was very political on Facebook, and now I see, like, you know, when they give you the memories of years ago, it's like 9 years ago you were blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking putting this on like a public forum like that?
But you see, that's the way I look at my Facebook page, and I said it before. Facebook for me is a time vault for my kids and grandkids, right? They're going to look. They'll have the opportunity to look back at my life day in, day out, read stuff, catch up. I mean, I wish I would have that for one of my grandparents. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. But I don't want it to be loaded with a bunch of fighting and yelling and and whatnot. You know, I mean, it's not what I want them to see. I want them to get a little bit of glimpse of who I am and what my life is, and that's how I try to look at it at Facebook. I mean, unfortunately, everybody's so narcissistic today. You know, it's about their only interaction with society. They want to debate or yell at and fight with somebody on Facebook. So
that's their only forum.
It's not easy, and I'm trying because I do have a bad trait. Like, I've been compelled my whole life. Like, if you do something or say something stupid, I have to be the guy to tell you, right? It's like I would die inside if I don't express to you because, you know, the stupidity of something, and that's a hard thing to overcome. But I'm working on it. But we do have to take a break.
I was about to do that.
Yes, but it's okay. I'm doing it for you. Are you all right?
Yes, no, I'm fine. I was about to say, this portion of KMA Talk Radio is brought to you by people in their mom's basements posting comments on Facebook. It's time to take a break.
Hold on, though. I want to tease before we go to the break, because when we come back from the break, I want to talk to Mike, because we had an interesting, talking about social media, we had an interesting post yesterday on social media where a guy basically made a comment about Mike, and I kind of thought it wasn't true, and we went a little bit back and forth. There was a discussion. It wasn't a thing. And we literally said, we'll talk about it today and see.
Yeah, we talked about it with Mike right after this whole thing happened, just to tease it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And got a little bit from him, but I think now's a perfect time, since it's coming up again, to really get Mike's perspective on what we were talking about on the social media page. It got a lot of views too, so a lot of you know what we're talking about.
So we'll hit that up right after this.
Keep it lit.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Elmer Suárez, de la Flor de Copán en Honduras.
My name is Ernesto Kranwinkel and I'm from La Romana, Dominican Republic.
Hola, mi nombre es Diana, soy de Manizales, Colombia.
Díaz, Freddy Molina desde Estelí, Nicaragua.
Hola amigos, saludos a todos. María Santis, orgullosa de ser puertorriqueña.
Cheers, I'm Oliver, I'm from London, England.
I love H. Upman Añejo.
My favorite H. Upman Dominican cigar is the H. Upman Banker.
My favorite H. Upman cigar is the Hermanspach.
Favorite H. Upman is the H. Upman by A.J. Fernandez.
Mi cigarro favorito es H. Upman Española.
I highly recommend you try the H. Upman 175th anniversary, awarded number 10 cigar of 2019.
One world, together with H. Upman.
Surgeon General warning: cigars are not a safe alternative to cigarettes.
Welcome back to KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live here on the Bookface. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister. We are here on this lovely Saturday morning. With me, of course, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Honest Abe.
Good morning.
And, of course, live in his mother-in-law's basement, it's Paul DeGracco.
I just love that.
And, of course, I'm glad. Thank you. I do it just for you. And, of course, we're joined by our very special guest, currently, for a little while longer, the Vice President of Nat Sherman Cigars, Mr. Michael Herklots. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for being here post-hurricane and just getting power last night, too.
Yeah.
We made it happen.
Right? Well, I mean, you know, Michael's job is probably going to go on for a little bit because I'm sure even after they close things down, there's going to be a little bit tying up to do. So it's not like, it's going to be over for him on a day. I'm pretty sure he's got.
No, it looks like the end of October.
Oh,
for you.
okay.
Yeah. So before the break, we talked about something. When we had announced that we were able to get you on the show this week, because obviously it was big breaking news, about Nat Sherman, and we thought it'd be a good time to get you on and maybe get your perspective, reply to some comments. There was somebody in our Facebook page who made a post who I had a little bit of a dialogue with, but somebody wants to ask if you regret making the decision to take sides with the FDA and not with the IPCPR, which is CRA or whatever it is now. My reply to him was he didn't, and then we kind of got a little bait. And what do you think about that statement?
Can you read it again?
Yeah, the exact statement is: ask him if he regrets his decision to take sides with the FDA and not with the CRA and the IPCPR.
So I would say that question is factually false to begin with. But it's predicated, I assume, on the perspective that Cigar Aficionado wrote in July of 2018, which was also factually false. And that article was an editorial at the end of the day. It failed to recognize the truth in the 9 pages of comments that we submitted to the FDA. It in fact only reported on the first 2 paragraphs. And despite our request to correct or at least complete the record, they refused. In fact, Cigar Aficionado said if we wanted to, we could simply post our opinion in the comment section of their website, which that's not how we do business, so we declined. And instead, I sent out a response 24 hours later, correcting the record and asking everyone to give us the benefit of at least reading the statement.
Well, no one ever wants to read, Mike. They want to read the headline. We become a society of headline readers.
So to go back to the gentleman's question, I don't blame him for asking the question the way he did, because he's asking it based on false information. He's also asking it deliberately in a way that somehow suggests I sided with anyone.
Right.
I've only sided with the premium cigar industry my whole life. That's what I do. And if you look and read the 9 pages of comments, you will see page after page after page of advocacy for the premium cigar industry that I would argue you have never seen from Big Tobacco. So personally, those 9 pages are one of the proudest moments of my career. The fact that we think back before 2018, it would be very likely, Abe, that you and me were sitting at the Circle Bar, just as the deeming regs were coming out with FDA, saying, God, if only we could somehow get Big Tobacco to say premium cigars are different. Like, if there was, how are we going to get our message heard? If they're only listening to the big guys, how can we possibly deliver that message and be heard? We did it. We delivered the message. Signed, sealed, delivered. Premium cigars are different.
I think what the problem was, it was also, they only were able to see one statement they could get past it, was they felt that premium cigars should be regulated. Although differently, they felt, and that's all people saw and saw read, right? That it should be regulated. And look,
that's right.
I mean, look, here's the reality of the situation.
Hang on. What that article said was we were against exemption, which is false, because we also co-authored the Cole-Bishop Act, which called for premium cigar exemption. So we were not opposed to exemption, and we certainly didn't fight against it. I say we like it's we. It's not. I don't mean to speak on behalf of the company, but there was no effort to not exempt. That's just not what we were advocating for. And I think that's an important distinction that people like to then latch on and become polarized. But it is a difference. And you know, I was actually grateful IPCPR came out with a statement confirming the fact that we had helped with Cole Bishop, that we had helped support efforts where exemption was included. And unfortunately, you will never get the second story, often the truth, as loud as the first story, which is often false and misleading.
That's how Facebook survives.
But you know what, man? It was a great opportunity for us, because as soon as that article came out, once again, phones started blowing up, and we got to speak one-on-one to every one of our customers. And it was a long haul. We spoke multiple times, I remember, Abe.
Yep.
And I think you had a strong opinion in the beginning, and then I think your opinion evolved as you read more and more, and we're back to doing business. And so I think
everybody can be guilty of a knee-jerk reaction, which is what happens, right? You get a knee-jerk, what? Right?
Nothing wrong with that.
It's like getting hit with a door, right? Somebody opens the door fast, it still hurts, right? Bust your nose, and you just realize, hey, wasn't intentional, but still hurts,
But I want to make sure I want to make sure I completely answer the question. So I do not regret siding with the FDA because I have not sided with the FDA. That is a ridiculous statement to begin with. I don't regret also working with Altria to craft those comments because it allowed for the message to be delivered. And the message was in keeping with the industry's message, with the sole exception that we didn't advocate for exemption. But if you take that piece out and look at what we did, we laid out in language the agency understands. We laid out a strategy for a future for the premium cigar industry. And just look where we are today. A lot of what we laid out is coming to fruition. Even insofar as what just happened this week with the DOJ submitting the letter on behalf of FDA saying for some differential regulation and exemption. I mean, the pathway to a definition, the pathway to differential regulation, pathways to not doing a one-size-fits-all approach, but rather looking at substantial equivalence and pre-market approvals in the context of the fact that all premium cigars are inherently the same. We delivered that message. So I have to feel overwhelming pride that when we look back at the value of those comments to our industry, I think in large part were a huge win, despite the fact that it would never be reported that way, and I never expect people to buy into that thought process, but I believe it wholeheartedly.
Did you anticipate any backlash when that happened, or were you a little blindsided by the reaction?
Well, I was blindsided by the article. There were tens of thousands of comments submitted.
Right.
No, I shouldn't say no two comments are the same, because a lot of people just cut and pasted and sent the same comments other people did. But thousands and thousands and thousands of comments were submitted. The fact that ours was reported in the way it was is because a cigar manufacturer looked for, I should say a cigar brand owner, looked for our comments, knowing that they would be slightly different than the rest of the industry.
Were you an advertiser or cigar aficionado at the time?
Bro, hold on. Ask me that in 1 second. The answer is yes.
Oh, wow. I would have thought for sure no. Wow.
That cigar manufacturer or brand owner called Cigar Aficionado and sent them just our comments and told Cigar Aficionado that they had to report on it. And then Dave Savona called me and said, hey, FYI, I just posted this article. I called them back and said, Dave, no problem. All press is good press. I'll take it. But your headline is false and misleading, and the content of your article is not accurate. You're only talking about the preamble of our comments, not the 9 pages. His response to me was, this is the way we are reporting your comments. So I said, could you at least complete our comments, or at least share the other 17,000 comments on the docket? Mm-hmm. The response was, this is the story we want to tell. Period. The end. So I said, no problem. Thank you very much for the consideration. See you later, and we'll draft a response. The next day, Barry Abrams called me and said, hey, Mike, God, what a tough day. Listen, we're going to send out this week's Cigar Aficionado newsletter, but it's going to be the Altria headline, and I noticed that you're the sponsor. Do you want us to wait and put you on a different week. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want it to look like I'm being retaliatory or somehow, no way. If this is our week scheduled, it has to go. He did it. So the next day, the Cigar Aficionado newsletter was sent out with the salacious and false headline, Altria against premium cigar industry, sponsored by Nat Sherman International.
Wow.
I mean, if you can't make it up. I got more emails after that went out. Like, are you kidding me? I said, hey man, we're still partners. You know, we're living up to our end of the deal here.
Wow.
That's a long way to answer the man's question, by the way. I hope I did it completely.
No, I think you did it very well.
Absolutely.
Because I was guilty of not understanding the full scope of the 9 pages. I mean, that's
But
why
you were gracious enough to accept my call.
Oh, always. Why wouldn't I?
And I can remember, we had just moved in this kitchen late at night. I probably got 1,000 steps in walking around my table, going over it and over it and over it and over it.
I do that.
We did that one account at a time. We didn't lose business. I mean, all this stuff, I saw this coming, after you make a deal with the devil, this is what karma's a bitch, all this. Guys, I hate to break it to you, but it's just not factually true. We grew the business year after year, which is what we set out to do. And retailers who cared enough to read our comments realized that we advocated for them in a way that they were never advocated before. And their message was heard by the people who needed to hear it most. And consumers did the same thing. And I look at our business today. Well, I looked at our business on Monday.
Right.
And man, it is bigger and healthier and stronger. We've weathered through so many things, including people trying to attack us like that. Now we've weathered through a pandemic. It's an unfortunate conclusion, but the idea that somehow this is related to performance, this is related to volume, this is related to the quality and integrity of our products or our people is just false. It's based on no fact. It helps people feel good to think that they have an inside scoop of something that they couldn't possibly have had, and that's okay. No problem. If you want to pontificate about opinions that you have, I'm totally good with that. You're entitled to the opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts, though. So
Right.
All I can do is offer facts, but I offer them here. I don't take the bait on social media when people post ridiculous comments like that, side with the FDA.
Well,
what planet are you living on? Come on.
I just want to say that I don't think it was, here's the problem. A lot of people felt that way. I think he was one of those guys. I don't think he was trying to be attacking. It's just a story that was fed to them.
That's right. He learned the wrong information.
And then when we had a dialogue about it, his response was, I'm going to look forward to listening to the show. I always like to learn something new, which is the way I think everybody should be, right? I mean, I had a knee-jerk reaction. Mike got on the phone with me the next day, and we talked, like he said, for a long time because we don't understand all the facts, and we're so quick to make the decisions. And one of the things I try to teach everybody working with is don't jump to the conclusions. And before you come into my office with something, have all the facts. Because if I start asking you questions, well, I don't know. Well, why are you here? Get the facts. So
it's
yeah.
Hard, but the problem, Abe, again, I don't blame. Maybe I sounded angry when I said that about the gentleman that posted. I don't mean to say that. He learned the wrong information. And the problem is you can't get all the facts when the facts aren't provided.
Right.
So the only person who has the facts are the docket record that has all 9 pages and me. And if you're not willing to find the comments and you're not willing to call me, then you're only going to learn someone's opinion, which we know will be editorialized. Very few places offer these sort of 30,000-foot perspectives. I think John McTavish did an incredible job when those comments came out about just reading the comments and then reporting on developing palates, just reporting like, I don't see what you see. This is what I see, and this looks awfully good to me. And Coop did something similar. Charlie did something similar on Half Wheel. looked at it and said, this is the overreaction is not based on fact. The overreaction is based on an editorialized opinion that is misleading. The problem was it was the first and loudest voice. And that's the way things go in everything.
And more so today than ever, right?
Oh, even worse.
That's what's going on all over today.
But it is what it is.
Coop's posting McTavish's article right now on our feed.
We
so
just
if
shared
anybody
it.
wanted to read it, yep, he just shared it. So
what a great piece. And he got a lot of shit for it. That's the other thing. Then people started attacking him for his piece. I mean, how ridiculous. The guy reported on the facts, but it didn't fit the perspective or the opinion that people had already formed, and the poor guy got ridiculed for it.
No, we only want to hear stories that conform with our opinions. That's the problem.
I have a thing now. I listen to CNN every morning in my car, and then I read Wall Street Journal, which I think is a little more middle, and then I try and either watch or listen to Bret Baier on Fox. Those are my like three pools that I try and get, and somewhere in there is what's really happening.
Is the truth, yeah.
Wait, maybe somewhere in there is the truth. And if it is the truth, you probably are making it up because you got to piece a little bit from three different sources.
Yeah.
Because no one source is telling you the truth.
Right. I try to spend more time just watching hearings and testimony so I can at least hear people. I want to hear it coming out of their mouth so I can form my own opinion.
Abe, I think you muted yourself.
Sure did.
Yeah.
My gut keeps rubbing this switch against this table. So there's a switch on the cord, that's why. But yeah, I mean, you'd rather hear it right from them than get an opinion from a news reporting on it. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to change ideas, so Mike, you've probably had a lot of time to just sit back and reflect on your time with Nat Sherman this week. What would you say is your greatest success over your time with Nat Sherman?
Wow, great question. Somebody woke Adam up this morning. Great question.
I think it's a broader success of people. Like when I think of how the success of Nat Sherman International specifically, obviously the sort of resurrection and redo of the retail store and of the town of the wholesale business. So many people grew as a result of our growth. Like, you know, we had no field sales force. Well, at this point we have 8, but if I think of even all the alumni that have come through, we had a real meaningful impact as an organization on people's ability to grow and then go on and do other things or remain with us today where they will then go on to do other things. Same with the store. When I think of how many people have worked for us over the last 9 years and really over the last 90 years, let's face it, but you asked particularly in the context of me, you know, we've had a lot of people come through our organization that have then left to go on to do things that are amazing. And then I look at even the wholesale side, working with the Quesada family, the Plasencia family, being able to work so closely with them, build their business. You know, I have to believe that some of our headlines and our coverage and our ratings and our reviews, all of that also helped build awareness and loyalty for Plasencia and Quesada as well. And so I just feel a tremendous amount of gratitude just that we were able to provide this platform where people came out better than they came in. And obviously our organization grew too, and the business grew, and I'm proud of the products, and I'm proud of all the fundraising that we've done. And that's probably a close second, is not just how we grew people, but we've raised so much money in the last 9 years. I mean, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions over the last 9 years, from Emerald's fundraisers to fundraisers in Florida and private fundraising events. and City Harvest and Meals on Wheels and Thomas Keller's charity events that he does. Our 85th anniversary cigar was 100% a fundraiser where we donated to City Harvest in New York City and local food banks in every market that we did events in. You know, something so simple as this has the ability to change people's lives by raising money, and it's so easy to do. I mean, I've tried to go back and add it all up. It's tens of millions we have contributed to in these auctions and fundraiser dinners all around the country for 9 years. You know, that's not a billboard legacy, but just
still something definitely to be proud of.
That's something really to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I guess also ladders back to people. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you're talking about a lot of people's lives that were positively affected because of the money that we could help raise.
So, in that same vein, as you've looked back now, what would you consider your biggest failure?
Probably siding with the FDA.
You know, there's gonna be an article tomorrow. Michael Herklots regrets signing with the FDA.
No problem. I expect nothing less. No. Was it biggest regret or biggest failure? What did you ask?
Failure or regret. You know what? Both.
Regret may be an easier word.
Yeah.
Right.
Regret might be the bigger word. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of regrets. I really don't. I think I wish I was. I wish I'd spent more time on the floor in the store. Mm-hmm. The good news was I didn't have to, because the team is just so strong there, and I ended up having to commit a lot of time on growing the other side of the business, building up the wholesale side, building up a field sales force, working with the manufacturers, etc. So I really didn't get to spend a tremendous amount of time day in and day out on the floor. I'm actually, that's my plan, to try and get some of that time in now as we start winding things down. Mm-hmm. That's a bit of a regret. Failure, you know, I think the early development of our brands after Timeless, I failed to recognize how important the continuity of brand-to-brand familiarity was. So if you look at the portfolio prior to rebrand, and you put all our products on a shelf, it looked, prior to rebrand, it looked like a cigar shop. It didn't look like a portfolio, a recognizable portfolio.
Right.
So that was certainly a failure in hindsight that we were able to then correct with rebrand, to then pull it all together, which made rebrand so incredibly successful.
Right. Yeah. Very good answer. Yeah. I will accept that.
You got Coop on today?
We have Coop is on the call. I just Coop, you have to unmute yourself if you want.
Joining us from his garage with a fake background of his living area, Mr. William Cooper, live from North Carolina. Koopaloop, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mike.
What's up, Coopster?
Hey, I don't know why I'm on today. I think you guys covered everything, right? No.
Honestly, it wouldn't feel like a show if you're not on it.
No, I'm kidding.
Part of the team.
Yeah, it was, Mike, you know, it was a very, you know, first of all, you know, I know we had an opportunity to report the news on that. Thank you so much. I would have traded it for another 40 years of Nat Sherman. I'll tell you that straight out.
I appreciate that, but I certainly appreciate you reporting it, you know, fairly and honestly. You know, that's valuable to us.
No, I appreciate it. You know, it's interesting. I called my dad the next day after that came out. And my dad, Mike, and I appreciate all the support you've given me. I know I've talked to you about my dad, so thanks on that as well.
Of course.
But he's doing well. And, he, you know, and I told him basically, he knows what my dad sort of knows what I do. And my dad said something.
I know.
Sorry. I didn't want to ruin the flow, but
no, that's okay. And you know, my dad's like, you know, I told him Nat Sherman was shut, and up until a few years ago, I think he was still going into the townhouse on a semi-regular basis. And he said to me, he goes, I've been going there since I'm 7 years old. He goes, my dad, his dad, used to take him there as a kid. I mean, and this is before, anything crazy. And he'd be in that store. He said, I had to be in that store at 7 years old, he told me.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was just like amazing when you think about it. And I thought about that. I'm like, wow, that's going almost 70 years, so yeah. So he was very sad too, on that too. So, no, Mike, I think, it's, like I said, I think hopefully we're gonna see you around, right? Even whatever you decide to do, I'm sure we're gonna see you around.
Yeah, I told the guys my plans earlier, but I think there was just a little bit of an audio problem.
What exactly he's doing?
Adam wanted to know if you're going to go back on tour and start playing drums.
Yeah, no, are you going back on tour?
Yeah.
Negative.
Are you
Negative.
Are you going to take over the PCA? That was my question. That one was posed. Actually, that was out there.
I haven't really gone down the rabbit hole of catching up on the comments on posts yet. I saw them early on. I saw things kind of like starting to hit, and then I spent more time on my phone and just talking to people rather than going back and reading. So I haven't. Someone called me the other day and asked if it's true I was going back to Davidoff, and I said I hadn't heard that, but if it's true, let me know. That would save me some time. I hadn't heard this PCA one, but that sounds it.
He was afraid to say interesting. He was almost going to say interesting. He's like,
I think it's all interesting. We just need to, I need the benefit of time to start seeing what's what. But first things first, there's still work to do,
Right. Yeah. I want to ask, how's your family taking it, right? Because I'd wonder how my wife would handle that situation. Because everybody's wives have different reactions. Is she concerned? Is she wanting to know your decisions? Or is she just going out about life every day?
Well, my wife works full time. She's got a great job. So we're certainly not worried like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
No, but is it something that you guys are having discussions about? I mean, I know you're a family guy, so
she's in the same position I'm in because she's been doing it with me the whole time. Since October, she's one of the only people in the world that has the inside scoop on who's at the table, what are the pros and cons, how are these deals going to work? So I think she has as much transaction fatigue as I do at this point. But I also, I think she's also heartbroken like I am. The last 9 years has been hard work. Like, it's been a lot of fun and a lot of meaningful relationships. It's been a ton of fun, but it's been hard work. And so to do all that work year after year for the sole purpose of this long-term vision and plan, to then have things fall apart where you're forced to sunset something that is healthy is just a really emotional thing to do. And I think she relates to that. I think she sees it in me. I think she feels it too, because she worked as hard as I did, right? Every time I was on a plane or in the Dominican or wherever I was doing, at least a couple days a week for the last 2 years, gone. And she was picking that up, covering for me while working full time. This has not been an easy 9 years. Right. So I think she's equally sad, but she's also my biggest fan. So, when I'm thinking like, God, what am I going to do? Her response is, whatever you do, you're going to do great. I mean, everything you do, great. And don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
How did you two meet?
At a cigar event.
Oh, wow. There you have it.
I was teaching. I had just gotten to the Davidoff store in Columbus Circle. So I was working at Madison Avenue, 2002 to 2006. Davidoff bought the store in Columbus Circle and moved me over as GM in 2006. At the time, I was doing a lot of seminars for the American Sommelier Association, doing cigar education for sommelier students. Mm-hmm. So I took those courses with me when I went to Columbus Circle. The admin for the association was Tiffany's either former roommate or best friend or something. I forget how that all worked. And Tiffany worked across the street from Columbus Circle in an office. So when I held one of the cigar classes for the wine students, the admin, her name was Elaine, called Tiffany and was like, hey, my friend Michael is doing this cigar tasting, an event at Davidoff Columbus Circle right across the street. Why don't you come? And Tiffany was like, that sounds awful. Like, I'm going to be in a little room with a bunch of cigar smokers. Nah, I don't know.
Wow.
And then, but she ended up coming, and we met, and I invited her that night. I invited her to lunch the next day, and that was
When you
it.
say I invited her, you mean you asked her to lunch?
I asked her to lunch, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you were having like a function, and I.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I asked her, can we have lunch tomorrow?
Wow.
See,
And then
you were smarter than me. You went right to lunch.
Mhm.
I asked my wife to go to dinner on our first interaction. She said absolutely not.
Did she
So-
really? I did not know that.
Oh yeah, she said no, but you can take me to lunch. You see, it's something about lunch. It's a
See, and I did. We did our first 3 dates in lunch, and I said, "Can we get together again?" And she's like, "Are we done with the lunch thing?"
smart girl.
Wow.
And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Whatever you want to do."
Yeah.
And then she stuck it to me. She's like, "Perfect. How about Sunday brunch in Union Square?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So I got what I deserved.
And then Le Cirque for dinner.
Lunches seem to be some kind of safer field of play. I guess I don't.
Maybe because
I would like never think of leaving work in the middle of the day to go have lunch. You know, I mean, like what? But yeah, lunch seems to be a little bit of a safer play, I guess.
maybe because if the date doesn't go well, they
You
still
gotta
have
go
the rest
back
of the
to
day to
work.
make up.
You got to go
but
back
they
to
can-
work. I guess so. I never thought of it that way. Smart man, Michael.
That's true. Yeah, you can get out. You can get out of it quickly. Oh, I got to get back to the office.
Yeah. You know, after dinner, you got nowhere to go. It's like your place or my place, and she's looking at you like neither.
Oh, that's enough. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
That's
Oh, that's a cool story.
Yeah,
That
man.
is great.
all these years, and I didn't even know that.
That is fantastic.
Your wife is commenting, Abe. She said,
My wife.
"Females love on high alert." She's saying. I think she's meaning that women are always on high alert, so
Yeah.
daytime
wife-
is safer.
Listen, my wife was definitely on. Well, first off, I mean, I think I met my wife when I was 26, but I looked like a 35-year-old pedophile, right? You know, I mean, listen to me. I'm not kidding you. Our first interaction, my wife carded me.
Really?
Yeah, when I told her how old I was, she did not believe me. She asked to see my driver's license. Yeah, true story. And then I had to take her to lunch. And then what made it worse was, I may have told the story if I have next to me, but our first dinner date, it was a really high-end Italian restaurant in Jupiter. I mean, thank God the chef was a patron of our cigar shop, because you can't get in there, like, especially during season. Forget about it.
Mhm.
Guy hooked me up with a table for two. I called him, Abe, whatever you need, got me a last-minute table for two. I'm going on my first date with my wife. This is all great. Not a cheap restaurant, you know, barely making any bones at the time. And I get a call like, you know, an hour before the dinner. My roommate and her sister kind of got nowhere to go, and I kind of invited them. Would you mind if I bring them?
And
What? And what? I called up the guy. Dude, can you put two more chairs at the table, please? I'm so sorry. I ended up taking four of them out to this expensive ass dinner, right? And then we started drinking, and then then they wanted to come over to the house. I'm like, oh, this may get interesting, maybe. Right? I didn't even get a good night kiss that night.
Wow.
Yeah, she says she did, but she gave me a cheek one. That doesn't count. You didn't even get a good night kiss that night. So yeah,
from any of them?
No, right? Right? I would have taken one from the friend, right? From the sister, whatever.
Man,
Yeah, all that.
Where's
that
the
was
gratitude?
That was our first dinner date. That was our
You know what though?
high alert.
can see her.
And
Good
that
for her.
friend tells the story the same way, except she's like, yo, my friend's cousin had this first date, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we tagged along with him?
Probably.
And they're married.
Brandy
My wife-
insists that she kissed you.
Yeah, on the cheek. It was a cheek kiss. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
We remember that kind of stuff.
Listen, she went home happy with her friends and full. I was in the fetal position that night. I remember clearly.
At least she didn't bring her roommate and friend to French Laundry. I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
please, yes,
it was a good play.
You got to take out a loan for that.
Yes. All right, so Coop, what's going on in the news this week, buddy?
So there was some news on the FDA front this week, and if folks heard, there was a letter submitted to a court in Maryland, and it was the court in Maryland that basically ruled that the cigar companies were going to have their substantial equivalence filings, which is what they need to stay on the market. Those filings were going to be due on September 9th. In that letter, the FDA is basically overwhelmed right now. They can't handle anything right now, especially with COVID. So they have, in that letter, proposed a deferment option for cigar companies, which would be considered on a case-by-case basis, for deferring the filing of those applications. It's not clear how long the deferment is or anything, or what that criteria would be, but it's outlining a plan, and I guess that's meant to offset some of the SC workload they're expecting to get in September. There were also
Isn't it interesting that they want to lighten their load, but meanwhile, every cigar company has been crippled with work trying to prepare for this very thing. And they're worried about their work.
This has happened every time. Yeah, you're 100%, Mike, right on that. It's absolutely.
I have to think that if you read their submission to the judge, I can't help but wonder if Meta will use this to throw this whole thing out.
Which is the other court case. That's the D.C. court case.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes.
But he has used their actions against them because what they continue to fail to do is use data and science to inform their decisions.
Yes.
They're not using that. And that's why Meta has come back favorably to the industry, particularly as it related to warnings. But I can't help but wonder, is this teeing up an opportunity for Meta to look at their opinion, meaning Justice Department and FDA, that their workload is more important than youth access and public health risk, which suggests that they are confirming we don't pose a risk. And there is no data and science to the contrary. And if all that is true, I wonder if this gives the other lawsuit new credibility to present to a judge to say this is nothing but arbitrary and capricious and it deserves be out.
Mike, in this letter, they actually said, the FDA said, because FDA's current information indicates youth smoking premium cigars because it's comparatively less than most other deemed tobacco products like e-cigarettes, premium cigars remain the FDA's lowest priority for pre-market review. That was in the article. I mean, in the letter.
Critical to that letter is using the words premium cigars.
And they defined a premium cigar for the FDA.
That's right.
Yes.
And that definition matches the definition that has been shared by the majority of premium cigar manufacturers, both in ANPRM submissions and in all the subsequent comments and filings. So I believe that letter has an underlying value that is basically confirming on the record the belief premium cigars that fall under that definition are different, period, hard stop. And if that is true, and they are unable to provide the data and science to demonstrate the risk, which they don't have, I have to believe that the talented lawyers that PCA and CAA and all these folks have, I have to believe they will be able to craft a valuable message to Meta that should result in a significantly more favorable outcome than the one we're in today. And if it's not exemption, I imagine there will be an outcome for profoundly differential regulation, which I think is a great win.
Well, there you go, Mike. Last thing in letter is they said, once again, they're undertaking a new research effort in regards to premium cigars to public comment again. So they're going back saying, well, we got to reevaluate premium cigars again. I can't see Meta going back. I mean, I don't want to put myself in the judge's shoes, but I can't see with that out there from the FDA. He's been very frustrated with the FDA for exactly that point. Like, you guys still haven't figured this out yet, and you're ready to impose this stuff on the industry.
And then it's presumable to then think that the lack of action and regulation is obviously then preserving the risk for all these young people, right? But they recognize that there is no risk, which is why they're willing to take their time.
Yeah.
And if that's true, then the basis of the argument for regulation in the first place is flawed.
Yep.
And now the FDA has just admitted that through a letter directly to a judge.
Yep.
I think this is a huge, huge opportunity for our industry to package this up and put a ribbon on it and deliver it to a judge that's already demonstrated that he's fair, right? If we didn't have our stuff together in an argument, he went against us. But when our arguments were based on just the data and science and not emotional, he judged in our favor. I have to believe this is a huge opportunity to button this up.
It's weird because Meta, the judge in the D.C. court, can't change the date. That's controlled by the Maryland court ruling. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So what does he do? Does he throw this out is a big question. And I think he's committed to getting an answer back to the industry before the September date. So it's going to be really interesting. The Maryland court, at the same time, I guess they're giving the plaintiffs an opportunity to respond to this letter as well. So it's not quite clear if this is going to be able, if the FDA is going to be able to move forward with this. But Mike, I think to your point, this is good news. This has to be considered good news right now. This is not a bad thing what we're hearing.
We just need to use this in a way that can help affect some kind of result, because it's a very important, very important letter.
Agree.
110%, absolutely.
Yep.
We hopefully will hear more good news out of this in the near future. But what else is going on this week, Coop?
So no surprise, Espinoza Cigars has canceled Lazonapalooza 2020 due to the pandemic. I don't think anyone was really surprised by that news. And they're going to announce some sort of, again, what most of the events are doing, a virtual component for that sometime in the future. So I think a good decision, right? I think most Espinoza people I saw the feedback on were understanding on that one. And, it's just not going to happen this year in South Florida.
And not to mention the Tampa Cigar Bash also got canceled this week.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah. No, they canceled the Tampa Cigar Bash.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, Casa de Monte Cristo canceled the Tampa Cigar Bash. I saw that yesterday.
Oh, wow. So I think now I look at that. Then the big questions out there are still the big smokes in Miami and Vegas. What's going to happen with that? And I think I don't know, especially Vegas. I don't think Vegas is open to do something like that yet. So, or anytime in the near future.
Very true.
Yep.
TPE is still in a state of limbo, right?
They haven't canceled it. They're having conversations with some of the exhibitors. I can tell you that, and getting a lot of input. They've been very transparent throughout the whole process, in terms of that. But the thing that's why TPE is now a big question is the Consumer Electronics Show, which is in that same facility right before TPE. They've canceled their event right now.
Oh, wow.
So, well, granted, that's a bigger expo.
One of the biggest in the country, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how they were going to do that, but it's still, I have some people on the ground in Vegas I talk to, and no one's seeing anything on the short-term horizon for conventions right now. There's people who do business, and they normally, they get work orders and things like that for these conventions, and nothing's happening right now with that. So, yeah, it's a little early for TPE January, but I think we're going to really start to see some decisions made soon on that.
Wow.
January's right around the corner. I know it doesn't feel like it, but, man, it comes fast.
Yeah. So, definitely worth kind of keeping an eye on right now.
Mm-hmm. So what else happened this week, Coop?
There was some product announcements this week. Boutique Blends, that's the company by Rafael Nodal that owns Aging Room. He's bringing back the Oliveros Gran Retorno, which Oliveros, if folks don't know, that was Rafael's, like, one of his brands he had before he even formed Boutique Blends and Aging Room and before he became part of Altadis. So he's bringing that brand back. The cigars have gone through an extra aging process, so they've been rolled and they've been sitting for a while. But Oliveros kind of was put on the side as Rafael was kind of working with Altadis and getting his distribution in line with Altadis. So those are going to get ready to be released, and those are cigars that are being made out of the Plasencia factory in Nicaragua. So I've always the Oliveros brand I go back with a lot too. I used to smoke those years ago.
Right. I
Really good cigars. So I think now I guess Rafael feels it's the point in time to bring that brand back in right now.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
So what's happening on cigar-coop.com this week?
It's actually a very big week. So we have two big shows this week. Tuesday, Cynthia Fuente is going to be our guest.
Oh, wow.
And Thursday, Rick Rodriguez of CAO Cigars is going to be our guest. Both people I've never interviewed before. So you're going to stay tuned. I have reviews coming out from both Steve Saka with his Lancero and Nick Melillo with his Menelik. So there's a lot going on. And then kind of culminating next Saturday is the official 10-year anniversary of Cigar Coop. So,
Wow.
So it's actually next Saturday is the official day.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
And what's gonna culminate with the entire 10th anniversary?
I'm finishing up the 10-year anniversary series on Friday, which has been kind of the history of Cigar Coop. But it will be an appearance, I guess, on KMA next week. The original plan, what I had in my mind like almost a year ago, is I was going to go to New Orleans that weekend and do a show from New Orleans, because that's where Cigar Coop started with that trade show in New Orleans in 2010. That was like the original long-term plan. Obviously, that's not going to happen now with COVID. So
that's where I first met you. I'm not sure it was the first New Orleans one, or they had one like 2 years later.
We met at the dinner, the Drew Estate dinner. We were sitting with Saka.
Was that the 10 one or the
10
13 one? Okay.
It was the 10 one where we were in that restaurant. It was like an upstairs restaurant.
Yeah, it was I know exactly where it was.
Yep. I can't remember the name of it. It was a good restaurant, but I was sitting, like, literally you and Saka was sitting, one of you, I think you were next to me and Saka was sitting across from us.
Wow. I remember that.
So I remember that very well.
There you go. It is trip down memory lane. Quality stuff. Excellent.
Yep.
All right. So, Coop, what do you got going on for the rest of the weekend, buddy?
I'm leaving the city of Charlotte tomorrow. That's going to be a first. My son Peter is going back to App State University. He has to go back. School? Well, he has an off-campus place that's paid for already. So, but he has a job lined up there already during the semester. So that's why he's going back up there. So,
but they're not having classes in the classroom.
It is undetermined yet, is what he has told me. He said there may be some classes that aren't going back. Regardless, he has to go back up there for the job that he took. So it's big for me because I have not left the city of Charlotte since this started. So this is going to be my first trip venturing out of there.
Wear a mask, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Sure.
Well, good luck, buddy.
Thank you. So I'll be tomorrow. I'm doing that, and I'll be back Monday night.
Excellent. Very nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's that time, Adam.
All right. Let's see this week who belongs in a cigar insane asylum.
Here comes the music.
Welcome to the Cigar Asylum.
Did you know I'm utterly insane? We all go a little mad sometimes.
Where logic and reason cease to exist.
All right, Dave, who belongs in the Cigar Insane Asylum today?
All right, well, I have not read this one, so this should be fun. This week's inductee had probably had too much time in quarantine. A Korean YouTuber named Shin Tae II, known for playing video games with his viewers live, has taken his hobby to a new height. Shin Tae took a challenge set by one of his viewers. If he wasn't in first place for the next game, he would have to set his underwear on fire for 5 seconds.
What?
Shin Tae, unfortunately, did not finish in first place for the game. After leaving the screen, the YouTuber returned, only in his underwear and with the help of lighter fluid, lit his pants on fire.
This is
His underwear, his underpants.
Unfortunately, his first attempt did not last long enough, and being a man of his word, he made a second attempt. After dousing more lighter fluid on his nether regions, the YouTube star set his crotch ablaze for 5 seconds and fell out of the frame, screaming in agony. He returned with an ice pack and soon ended the broadcast. He later commented that he went to the hospital and was treated for second-degree burns. Yeah, you are, without a doubt, this week's inductee into the cigar.
There's a video of it too, but the news articles posted like a 4-hour-long video, and I couldn't clip it, so you have to scroll all the way to the end, like the last 5 minutes, if you want to see a guy set his crotch on fire.
You could say he's nuts.
Oh,
wow! That had a lot of balls to do that,
huh? Not anymore.
You got any more?
Fair enough. Oh, poor guy. Oh.
What a show.
He's not going to go through fatherhood anytime soon.
That brings a new meaning to Yo tengo el fuego y mi pantalontes. Wow.
Mike, so you got any big plans for the weekend, buddy?
Man, I have electricity and my family. Yeah. That's my plan. Gonna hang out, spend some time with them. Really do a whole bunch of nothing. Leave my phone off.
How long were you without power?
We lost it Tuesday, about noon.
All right, about 5.
And we got it back last night.
Did you have any generators, or were you stuck without?
Yeah, no, I have a generator. We got that going late Tuesday night, so that was able to keep. We didn't run it overnight because that just makes me nervous. But we had the fridge going. We had a couple outlets so we could charge things. Hot water heater, thank God, so we could at least take nice showers. And so it wasn't torture. It was just inconvenient.
How about AC?
No AC. That was inconvenient.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been that hot. Up here, it was like 70, 72 yesterday here, at least on Long Island. It really wasn't. It's not that bad. It's humid.
Wednesday was hot, and Thursday was swampy. But at night, it cooled down a little. We made the best of it. I've never slept in the basement yet, so that was a nice experience.
Nice and cool down there.
It was perfect. My wife was like, "Is it comfortable down here?" I was like, "Compared to the beds in Nicaragua, yes. Compared to the beds upstairs, no."
Wow. Was it the whole family in the basement?
No, me and the girls really wanted to do it, so I stayed down with them.
Oh.
Yes.
Quality.
That's the thing here. It gets cool at night. That is one nice thing. In Florida, it stays as hot, and the humidity always goes up to 90%.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Curls up your hair, Paul?
Oh, of course, yes. On my beard, which I haven't shaved because the battery died in my beard trimmer, and it is now dead. That means I've been here too long.
You want to talk about an industry that people haven't thought about that's gotten whacked by COVID? It's the barbershop.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody getting stuff done. They're growing beards. They're growing hair.
I'm getting backyard haircuts.
I was just talking with my partner at the barbershop, man. They're doing like 50% of business at best. At best. Geez. Yeah, well, no one has to go to work or be in an office anymore. No one's getting groomed.
I was so shocked with how many people who I thought never would have a beard had beards and facial hair. Because, when do you get the chance to just try it out? I was wild.
Well, there's that old school mentality where, you wake up every morning and you shave and you go to work, and all of a sudden people had to stop, going to work. So, that shave process just got cut.
Showering at 3 p.m.
You don't even wash your face in the morning. What are you talking about?
I usually shower every morning before I go to work, but since I've been working from home, I kind of just get up, get the kids settled for breakfast, do that, and then log onto my computer, in my pajamas. And then usually around 2 or 3 o'clock, I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. I got to shower. So I take a quick break, take a shower, and get back to work.
I got to wash my face in the morning. Otherwise, I just don't feel like I woke up.
Yeah. Shower first, man. That's maybe coffee, but shower.
Coop, people are calling for you to grow a beard. Evan Darnell.
It ain't going to happen. It just won't work with what I do outside cigars.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Mike, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah.
We look forward very much to seeing what you're doing in the future.
Absolutely.
And when you figure that out, let us know. And guess what?
We'll do.
We'll talk about it.
Awesome.
We'll have another whole conversation. I mean, the world is your oyster, man. Go get it.
Yeah, we're calling dibs on the first interview if anything comes to fruition as far as future work. So I'm calling it now.
Got it.
Sorry.
We'll redo.
Sorry, Coop.
You sure he won't give it to that big magazine he
We'll
loves?
make the press release before that.
There you go. That's exactly how it does work. Coop makes the press release. We get him on the show.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
You got my word. We'll do it.
I know.
Excellent. Fantastic.
We got next week. We got anybody next week, Paul?
I got a TBD written here.
Wow, Paul, you just suck at your job lately.
Oh,
Why don't you talk to Coop? He seems to be getting everybody on his show.
I do. A lot,
we got Abe, by the way, the following a week from Thursday. So yeah.
Dude, yeah, man.
Nice.
I'm shocked.
I forgot about that.
The in-depth Abe piece.
I'm not on Coop's show too often, so I'm excited.
We have we've been fortunate. People have time right now, which is good. And I know Abe we wanted to get Abe on too. It's not like that. So you were on with Skip, but we haven't had you solo. So
yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I'll try to keep it lively.
Yeah,
I'll try to.
That'll definitely be a fun show. Absolutely.
Make sure you have some Bloody Marys.
Yes. That seems to be the popular thing now.
Oh, people are loving when you're drinking those Bloody Marys, man.
Yeah.
You get very animated.
They were liking who was bringing Abe with the Bloody Marys.
That's what I think it was.
But yeah, I think that was what was going on. Yeah.
She just got a full-time job too.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we had no bar again. I mean, poor girl. I mean, So yeah, she just texted us. She got a full-time job, and I think she'll come back if we ever open up. It's just she's a great girl. Been with us the longest behind the bar. So yeah, hopefully. Look, we were on the phone this week with the Secretary of the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, and one of the representatives here for the state of Florida. And we had long talks with him about how, it's really funny because the problem with cigar bars is the laws have just kind of worked around a niche business that wasn't there that really dealt with them, right? Because we're not nightclubs, we're not bars, we are retailers, but we have bars, but they don't want to look at us as retailers. We have lounges, so when these laws come out, we really fall in like cracks. So we had really a nice long 30-minute discussion, which is a long time when you're talking to
a representative. Yeah.
Yeah. So they literally during the conversation says, hey, look, we might have something here, so give us a couple days. So we're hoping to at least open up the lounges, soon, and then the bar side, God knows when that's going to happen.
And are you established for distance, and have you sort of reset floor plan a little to create more space?
We had half our furniture removed, signage.
Yeah, that's great.
Stuff, but they still came in and shut us down, Mike. They came in, they walked in the store, about 14 people about 2-3 weeks ago, and basically kicked everybody out and shut us down. And now we are allowed to operate as cash and carry, but it's hurt businesses, especially because there are stores in operation around us who do not have bars, who have kind of been under the radar, and have still had lounges open. I want to go and hang out with guys and have a cigar. I don't want to, I'm restocking my humidor. That's one thing, but a large portion of our business is guys who want to get together and socialize. And
of course,
yeah, and
that's just be in the same place with other people doing the same thing.
Yeah. That's been taken away from us. So that's been a big struggle for us in the brick and mortar side.
But your response to this, I mean, you are really one of the greatest retailers in this industry. You know that your ability to respond and pivot and think differently and create subscriptions and cigar of the month and online perfs and all. I mean, if people in our industry, if there's anyone they should learn from, it's you.
Thanks, Mike.
But it takes full on commitment. You can't do it half. You got to be all in, and you have been all in as long as I've known you. From this show to it's just you're always on. You're always building your business, and it's really inspiring to watch.
Thanks. Well, we got big plans for the Great Smoke 2021. I mean, big plans. We've already had mega meetings, and with some really, really talented people who are flying in to help us put together. And if we pull off what we hope to pull off, in next February, because right now it's definitely looking like we just probably won't have a physical event February, and we're getting Plan B in full effect, prepared for that decision when that time comes. It's not official yet, but we don't want, you can't, but you know, the problem is with something like this, you can't start the process by the time you have to make a final decision. You know, by that time it's kind of too late. So we got to prepare doing it both ways until a decision is made. But if we end up doing it, you know, not in a physical format, I think if we keep going the way we're going, we might make some cigar history come next February.
That's awesome.
I'm a little bit excited about it. Yeah, I'm a little bit excited about it.
Oh, yeah. Going to be a great time, and everyone will be there. Well, at some point next week, we will announce who our guest is, if Paul ever books anyone, or actually does his job.
I think we should have Coop, because it's his 10-year anniversary.
I'm going to be on anyway, though.
Calm down, Coop.
The voice did get a little high-pitched there, but you know, as much as that's a cop-out from Paul, because he doesn't want to do anything, it's not a bad idea for a show.
No, I have some potentials. The problem is, even though everybody's available, it seems like nobody wants to do 6 of these in a week, obviously. So that's been my biggest hurdle. It was really easy, like the week of, I could get somebody
really
to come on.
Because when I ask people, they say yeah right away.
Because they're afraid of you, usually.
They're not afraid of Mike. Are you
Whatever
afraid
it
of
takes.
Well, I'm not saying.
There's the answer. Whatever
No,
it
but I
takes.
was. I was actually thinking of this morning. I remember the first trade show I went to, walking by Drew Estate and seeing the big acid wall and seeing your picture poster for the Ming. And I was like, that is the bad genie from Aladdin. Like,
yes,
real and in life. But I didn't know you were a real person. I just thought you were in an ad. And later that day or the next day, I actually saw you on the floor and I was like, oh my God, he's real. I was absolutely petrified. I didn't know what to say. I was like, then I learned who you were and I was like, oh my God, this guy's so scary. What am I going to do? And then I can't remember if it was a Davidoff dinner or an Out to This dinner or something, but we met maybe a year later, and I was like, oh God, hi. And you're like, hey, how are you, man? So good to meet you. And I was like, this guy isn't scary. Like, I was a little let down. I thought you were going to be like, but turns out
you've never worked
one of
for
the
him.
sweetest guys I've ever met.
Okay, now that is a classic story that we have to end the show with. Till next week when we decide actually who's going to be on the show, guess what? We'll find out later because Paul can't do his job right. But till then and as always, keep it lit.
Keep it lit,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you for having me.